Welcome back. Today I'm with Chairman of the Beaufort County Capital Sales Tax Commission, Mike Sutton from Beaufort. Many of you know him. He was on City Council for 8 years and unfortunately turned himself out. But we put him back to work, put him on the task force, and fortunately he was selected chairman. What we've been talking about is something that's not being talked about but needs to be talked about, and that's the penny capital sales tax. I'm not talking about the school tax, that's a separate issue. We're talking about monies that would be used to help all 4 municipalities, to help Beaufort County, the Sheriff's Department, and others catch up on postponed needs having to do. We've talked about public safety, we've talked about the environment. Let's keep going down our list, Mike, in terms of the categories that y'all selected.
Well, one of the categories we haven't really spoken too deep on is economic development and the quality of life issues, and these are things that the Commission felt were strongly to mix in with the penny, so it wasn't all strictly public safety, that it was a balance of projects, as we spoke a little bit on the last episode. But economic development brings to mind a lot of thoughts, and people don't quite understand it most of the time, but what we felt was it was important to look at each region of the county and determine if there was one piece that they're asking for that would help or possibly be a game changer for that community. And some of them include things like the TCL's Culinary Arts Center that would be built in Bluffton. The restaurant, different entities of the restaurant business, the hospitality world, came to the Commission and presented their case, and they talked highly about the inability to keep trained kitchen staff and people related to the hospitality industry. And they pitched an idea of a culinary institute, and they didn't tell us where they would put it, basically. They said they needed one. The bottom line, the question was, will you help us support the ideals of a culinary institute? And we thought it was very important, and the best location ended up being in Bluffton, and we felt that was a good spot for it, and so we supported it. So if we can get a culinary institute built, it can really help the region as far as training people working in the food and beverage business and give them associate's degree and certificates related to many layers of stuff that relate to preparing meals and serving meals. The other one was probably equally as important through TCL was their health science building that would be located on the Beaufort campus using one of the old buildings that was part of the Mather school system. So there's a building there that's empty today. The infrastructure is in place, and what they want to do is put in a health science department that deals with several layers of scientific studies that would help. And they basically pitched the concept that they have, through that program, 100% job placement opportunity.
They do.
And so
I've been to their radiology technologist group and their surgical technologist. They all graduate. They all move right into jobs. Unfortunately, some of them are military spouses, and once they get that degree, they're gone. But the proximity to Beaufort Memorial Hospital and TCL is perfect because they can have practical experience across the street, and hopefully it can be a recruiting ground because, to my knowledge, Beaufort Hospital is still bringing in temporary employees because they can't fill the skilled jobs they need.
Well, I like the idea that it's basically a brownfield type environment, meaning that they're not going out and bulldozing trees to build a center, that they actually have a campus with a building already in place, and what they need is the infrastructure or the piece to put the middle of it together, and then basically they'll be in operation as soon as it's built. This is a shovel-ready project that I hope the larger community supports.
And building on earlier successes.
Some of the other ones would probably be in quality of life. The park improvements. Everybody loves their parks, and one of the things that we're, at least on the north of the broad, or what we're seeing is, restroom facilities and maintenance issues that have plagued us for years. If we have a chance to get the penny sales tax, we can improve restroom facilities like Pigeon Point Park and at the Washington Street Park that now has no facilities, right in the middle of the historic district, and Southside Park, where we've planned for the tree farm. The dog park is there. There's reasons why that hasn't really matured, and it's mainly funding. And this is an opportunity for us to regionally fund and improve our park systems.
Then there's the big bear. And the big bear is, when you talked in council, you always said we ought to be setting aside money, which we didn't have, for the ongoing maintenance of the Henry C. Chambers jewel of a park. No one doubts it's great, but many people don't understand, as you do, because you've probably dived underneath it, that it is built on a structure, a big part of it. and it washes away, causing sinkholes. The city actually has just gone down with a diver, and now we're looking at an annual program of fixing one or two of the pilings as we go. This would help us catch up with that, and for those who want to expand the park into the marina parking lot, it may be that we can build that big field that people have talked about if we can find a place to
Sure.
replace the park.
Well, we talked and debated at length with the Penny Sales Tax Commission about the merits of that. We understand the value of the waterfront park. We know it's important, just like any park across the county. You're exactly right. There's not a maintenance fund. The last renovation of that park, which will happen over every 8 to 10 year cycle, we're going to be looking at possibly millions of dollars worth of investment to hold a park like that together. This is a chance to do it at a penny sales tax, do a little bit of maintenance, get things in order, and then try to start that program, jumpstart it to keep it going.
Right.
But the waterfront park has to be maintained. It's a regional asset, and we really believed on the commission that this was money well spent, and that the public would accept that fact and support the ideals of keeping our parks as beautiful as they are.
Right. Well, there's no doubt that, having been a real estate agent, that our downtown, specifically the park and the Historic Landmark District, drive the city of Beaufort. They drive those who come here, they drive those who visit here, those who retire here, and it's amenity for people who live in Beaufort. But I'll guarantee you, at the Shrimp Festival 2 weeks ago, you probably had more people from out of town coming to Beaufort than you did people from Beaufort.
Yeah, and they spent money. And if the penny sales tax had been in place, those dollars have been generated, and it's from people who don't live here, don't have a direct impact every day here.
So
and it benefits the locals.
That park and the parking garage are really economic drivers
They are.
to help us grow downtown to what we want it to be.
Absolutely. Well, this penny sales tax benefits everybody, and there's more details in the topics we won't have time for, I'm sure, but there's something in here for everyone, every community from north of the Broad, south of the Broad, out on the islands, in the farm communities. This will have an impact, and these projects won't get funded unless we support them as a region through the penny sales tax.
If I wanted to be devil's advocate, and I don't know if you can handle this question, I can answer it if I have to.
Okay.
Why would one not vote for the penny sales tax?
I think there's there's not a reason not to vote for it. There's not a harmful reason that could come that I can think of. You may have to answer that question, because I think that if you're worried about, if you're just in the mindset that all taxes are evil and you can't justify them for no matter whatever reason, then you're stuck.
If I voted against it, I would vote for it because A, I don't like taxes, and I don't want to pay my way, or I think it's someone else's problem, not mine. Or, probably more importantly, I wouldn't understand the nature and the pressures on capital and infrastructure that local governments. But if I go back and I look and I understand, I have the privileges, having been mayor now, and before that city council, as you were in council, to understand that there are these long lists that have been growing. You know, we waited through the recession, we had to cut back, we thought everything was going to be better, but we're not going to see a building boom, and I don't know north of the Broad River that we expect to really want a building boom. What we want to do is not much new, but is take what we have and build on it. And this would be a way in the city, and I think I speak for the town of Port Royal and Bluffton and Hilton Head, is to begin to address some long postponed needs. So I
Absolutely.
think our mission is to try to help people understand, that key element that I mentioned earlier is that 40%, $400 out of $1,000 come from people who do not live here, but do require those services.
That's absolutely, and use them every day.
Right.
I mean, 85% of your police and service calls in the city of Beaufort come from people who don't live in your zip code.
That's exactly
And
right.
so,
That's
how do you pay
exactly
for that
right.
on the backs of your 12,000 citizens?
That's exactly right. I think the projects are fair. I mean, I think you started out with a larger number and you skinnied it down to 120 million, which everybody thought was fair, and that's 4 years.
4 years.
At the end, whether you raise the money or not, it ends. And if you raise the money before 4 years,
It ends.
it ends.
Yep.
So we've done it before. We see improvements that have helped us, but we didn't go all the way. So this is sort of a way to say, okay, let's put a Band-Aid on, let's pay that extra little bit, and let our municipalities and our county catch up to make sure they can give us what we expect of them, which is public safety, quality of life, and maintaining our pristine environment.
And one thing I want to make a point too is it's just not the penny paid for this. There's a lot of leveraging going on out there with grants and other opportunities to pay for these things. This is the only opportunity to make it actually happen at this point in history. Some of these projects will go forward anyways, and some areas may see these things like the communication equipment will show up on your tax bill in another area. You just won't have the ability to share it.
That's right. And you know, federal grants and state grants all require matches. And so these dollars are going to be leveraged way beyond $120 million.
Absolutely.
If you look at Boundary Street, the penny sales tax put in 11 of $33 million.
That's right.
There was a federal grant for 12. The city had their tax incremental finance district. So we're talking about considerably more. Anyway, we've got to go, but I would ask everyone to please look at the paper, go to the county website, call me, call Mike. I'll give you his cell phone. No, I won't. But you can always find him. He's out on the street saving old homes in downtown Beaufort. Thank you for joining us, and do stay tuned and think about the capital penny sales tax.